Work culture. It's not about work values or dress codes. It's about mindset, behaviors, how people interact inside the organization. You can notice yourself if you are an employee. You can notice that the work culture makes you happier, more satisfied. If it is a good culture, of course, it makes your performance higher. You will be happy at your work. You will not think of shifting to another job because you are comfortable. You go in the morning with a smile, and even you can notice this when you enter some organizations. Sometimes you feel like that positive vibes. So, if you are in that culture, then you are the luckiest one in the world. Let me tell you that. So, as a strategic leader, what is your role? Why is culture is very important? Because as we said, it is related to employee performance and also the success and satisfaction. So, if the culture is good, then our employees are satisfied, they are happy, their performance will be boosted. So, culture is essential for success. Let's start. Culture. We will talk about Hofstede's framework. His framework is about the cultural dimensions. It is a comparative framework that describes the effects of a society's culture on the values of its members and how these values relate to organizational behavior. So, again, society's culture on the value of its members. So, what is the effect of the society culture on the value of its on the values of its members, and then these how these values relate to organization. So, strategic relevance provides insight for cross cultural management, international expansion, and global team leadership. So, if we are thinking of expanding in this country, it is important to know the culture and how it will be related to our organization, and also how to lead these teams since they have such values, um, can be embedded or not. So it is just for your information, by the way. Don't memorize this. Just to understand how cultures are different and what is the framework. So, what are the key dimensions? Power distance. The extent to which less powerful members accept and expect that power is distributed unequally. Individualism versus collectivism. So, preference for loosely knit social frameworks versus tightly knit frameworks where individuals expect group protection. Preferences for achievement, assertiveness, and material rewards versus cooperation, modesty, and quality of life. Uncertainty avoidance, the degree to which members feel uncomfortable with ambiguity and uncertainty. So, this is a diagram of the framework. Power distance. So, the extent to which less powerful members of organizations and institutions accept and expect that power is distributed unequally. High power distance cultures, for example in Malaysia and Philippines, accept hierarchical order without justification, while low power Distance cultures like Denmark, New Zealand strive to equalize power distribution. So this equally distributed power, it is accepted. We can see in some countries, and in other countries it is unaccepted without justification. Organizational impact, it influences leadership styles, decision making processes, communication patterns, and employee expectations regarding autonomy and participation. So, if we apply the same leadership, let's say in Malaysia and in Denmark, it will be accepted in Malaysia, but it will not be accepted in Denmark, for example, because the employees would be feeling unsatisfied. They will not like their jobs and they might resign and so on, because they are not part of the decision making, or they feel that there is no justification for it, so they cannot simply accept it. So, how to apply this? Organizations must adapt leadership and management practices to align with cultural expectations about authority and hierarchy. Communication strategy. In high power distance context, formal communication channels are preferred, while in low power distance environments, open dialogue across hierarchical levels is expected. Low power distance typically facilitates bottom up innovation, while high power distance may require structured innovation processes with a clear leadership endorsement. So, there are differences. It is very essential to understand these differences and to use the appropriate leadership style in each culture. What do we mean by individualism? It is the preference for loosely knit social frameworks where individuals are expected to take care of themselves and their immediate families only. Collectivism, preference for tightly knit frameworks where individuals expect their relatives or members of a particular in group to look after them in exchange for unquestioning loyalty. Cultural variations. Western societies tend toward individualism, like Australia, USA, while many Asian, African, and Latin American cultures lean toward collectivism, like China, Colombia. What are the organizational implications? Motivation system. There should be individualistic cultures respond to personal achievement recognition, while this is, let's say, in Denmark, as we said. So they like the focus on personal achievements, and they are individualism cultures. So we should, as a management, we should focus on personal achievements, while in collectivism, in collectivistic cultures, we should value group harmony and team accomplishments, not individual but team accomplishments. The work structure. So, individualistic environments favor work and personal accountability, while in the collectivism, they emphasize on team based approaches and shared responsibilities. So, everything which is shared responsibilities, team based approaches, it will be for the collectivism, while individualism, it will be always the individual. Business relationships in collectivism often require deeper personal connections before transactional activities. and like the more direct approach and individualism cultures. So, to make it short, for individualism, we will focus on individuals. There will be personal achievement, personal accountability, uh, personal connections. This is for the individualism, while collectivism, we will focus on team goals, team accomplishments. We will have shared responsibility, and we will focus on their interacted relationships between the team members. Uncertainty avoidance. So, some people tend to avoid uncertainty and they like to plan for everything in their lives. So, let's talk about risk tolerance and innovation culture. The extent to which members of a culture feel threatened by ambiguous or unknown situations and have created beliefs and institutions that try to avoid these. Cultural variations, high uncertainty avoidance culture, like Japan, Greece, they maintain rigid codes of belief and behavior, while low uncertainty avoidance cultures like Singapore, Sweden are more accepting of different thoughts and ideas. So, again, there are differences between the countries in terms of the tolerance of the uncertainty. Influences approach to risk taking, innovation processes, rule formalization, and tolerance for ambiguity is strategic planning. Of course, it will affect the business decisions, strategic decisions based on that tolerance for uncertainty. So, if we will think of the strategic implications, we can think that organizations must adapt leadership and management practices to align with cultural expectations about authority and hierarchy. In high power distance context, formal communication channels are preferred, while in low power distance environments, open dialogues across all levels is expected. We can notice the innovation also. So, for innovation in low power distance, typically facilitates bottom up innovation, while high power distance may require structured innovation processes with a clear leadership endorsement. Now, we will talk about long term versus short term. So, the extent to which a society maintains links with its past while dealing with the present and future challenges with long term oriented societies prioritizing future rewards. In East Asian countries, typically score high on long term orientation, while Western and Middle Eastern countries often demonstrate shorter term perspectives. It will influence strategic planning, investment decisions, innovation processes, and approaches to relationship building. So we can see in the diagram here that depending on the countries, the orientation of long-term orientation is different. We can see South Korea is the highest, then Japan and China. So it depends. What are the organizational implications? Long term oriented organizations focus on sustainable growth and future positioning, while short term oriented ones prioritize immediate results and quarterly performance. Relationship management. So, for those long term oriented, invest in building business relationships, while short term oriented may focus on transactional efficiency. Long term, focus on building business relationships, short term, transactional efficiency. The approach towards innovation differs. In long term, they persistent innovation with extended payback periods, while short term orientation favors quick win innovations with immediate returns. Long term versus short term orientation is an easy concept and straightforward. So we will keep moving to the next session. And if you have any questions, please let me know and have a great day. Thank you.